Hi everybody, welcome to another Yarn Scrap Friday with me, Laura, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make my mini cactus. And for this tutorial I'm going to be using some DK light worsted weight yarn, that's a yarn weight of 3, and you're going to need a really nice sort of orangey terracotta colour for the pot if you want to make it that colour. Of course you can use any colour that you want to. You're going to need some green for the actual cactus and a little bit of pink for a little flower to go on top, and with that we're going to be using a 3mm crochet hook. And you're also going to need a pair of scissors and a yarn tapestry needle as well. So that's one with a large eye at the end. And it's also a good idea to have some toy stuffing or yarn scraps as well for just stuffing the pot and the cactus. Okay, so I need to get some of that for myself actually. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be starting off with is the little terracotta pot. So we're going to take our orangey coloured yarn. And first thing we're going to do is, get my little cactus to stand up. There we go. It's a chain 4 loop. So you can use the magic circle technique if you prefer, but we're going to do chain 4 loops. The first thing to do is a slip knot. And then we're going to chain 4. It's chain 1, 2, 3 and 4, so chain 4. We're going to put our hook into our first chain. Let's put your hook into the first chain, then bring the yarn through the first chain and straight through the loop on your hook to do a slip stitch, and that creates a little loop of your chains joined at the beginning and the end, and in the middle of course is a little hole. So the first thing we're going to do though is we're just going to do a little chain 1. We're not going to count that as a stitch, that's just for leverage. Then into the center of your 4 chain loop, don't confuse it with your first chain hole which can look quite big. You need to find that center. Into there we are going to work 8 single crochets. This pattern's in US terminology, so in UK terminology that would be double crochets, but we're going to work single crochets in US terminology. So put your hook into the center, bring the yarn through the middle, and then just wrapping it around the chains, work a single crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2. We want 8 of those, so that's 1, back into the middle, bring the yarn through, then just wrapping it around your chains, pull through 2 to do a single crochet. So that's 2, you want 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more, 8. Okay, so you've got 8 single crochet in that 4 chain loop. Then if you've worked for the center, you should be able to pull that tail end, bring in the hole a little bit. Okay. Then what we're going to do is find our first single crochet that we made. Check you've got 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. Find your first single crochet and put your hook into there. Okay, under both loops, bring the yarn through and do a slip stitch. Just bring it through the single crochet and straight through the loop on your hook to join the round. Okay, so by the end of that round you should have a stitch count of 8. Okay, so what we want to do now is we're going to do a little chain 1. Don't count that as a stitch, just going to use that for leverage. And what we want to do is we want to go back into the same stitch we just slip stitched into. So this stitch here, but instead of coming in from the front, we want to come from the back. So the opposite way, the opposite direction, which could be a little bit fiddly. But then what we want to do is we want to go into the next stitch. So the next stitch along, we're going to put our hook into there. And what that effectively does is it catches the little tiny single crochet post on top of your hook, like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, and we're just going to bring that yarn underneath that little post to the other side. So it comes to the front and goes to the back again, and that just gets pulled underneath that loop. And we've got 2 loops on our hook, and then we yarn over, pull through 2 to do a single crochet. So if you're used to the back post stitch anyway, this should make a little bit more sense, but that's effectively a single crochet back post stitch, and we're going to do that in each stitch around. But what we need to do now is we need to, the second stitch that we went into from the front, we need to now come in from the back. So we're going to move over. So we come from the back on that second stitch, then we go into the next new stitch which hasn't been worked into at all from the front. And again, we're catching that little tiny single crochet post. We're just going to bring the yarn under that little post. Okay, then we yarn over, pull through 2 to do a single crochet. Okay, so that's our second one. And what this does is it will create a nice flat bottom for our pot. So then we want to go in from the back from that same stitch we went in from the front the last time, and move over to the next stitch and go in from the front. Okay, and you catch that little post at the back, bring the yarn underneath, and try not to lose it on your hook. So I might do that one again. There we go. And do a single crochet. And then I'm going to come from the back instead of the front for that next stitch. So that was the stitch we went in from the front. So I'm going to come from the back this time and go into the next stitch. Catch that loop and do a single crochet. And if you're unsure which one you last worked into, to know which one you need to come in from the back instead of the front, find a nice proper clean stitch, and the next one over, which looks a little bit tiny and small, that's the one you've worked into, and that's the one you want to now come from the back, like so, and move over to the next nice clean stitch. You catch that back loop, the post rather, single crochet post, bring the yarn through and do a single crochet. And if you count as you go, you should have 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've done 5. I need to do 3 more. So I need to find which next stitch I need to come from the back. So there's a nice clean stitch. So that next one over there, which looks small, I know that's the one I need to come from the back. And then into the front of the next stitch, catching that little post, single crochet post. Do a single crochet. So that's 6, and then the next one. 7. It's probably the most fiddliest part actually. And then 1 more. So that would be normally, this last stitch there is actually what I would consider a fake stitch, but we're just going to pop in to the front into that little fake stitch. If you're used to my videos, you'll know what I mean. But just make sure you've got 8 of these single crochet back post stitches, like so. And now instead of working in that direction, we're working in this direction. So find that first single crochet that you made, put your hook into there, and do a slip stitch. Let's see, this in front of the camera might be easier. There we go. Bring the yarn through there and through the loop on your hook to do a slip stitch. So you should have a stitch count of 8 still on there. So 2, 4, 6 and 8. Yeah, it's got a stitch count of 8. And now we are working in this direction. So that creates a nice flat bottom to your pot. And what we're going to do now is just going to do a little chain 1. Don't count that as a stitch again. And going back into the same single crochet you just slip stitched into, go back into there. We're going to do 1 single crochet. 1 single crochet in there. Then in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochet. So 1 and another one in the same stitch. 2, do you want 2 in there? Then in the next stitch, just 1 single crochet, and we're going to repeat this pattern around. So 1 single crochet in there. Next stitch, 2 single crochet. Single crochet. Then next stitch, 1 single crochet, just the one. I'm just working into the stitch as normal now. Next stitch, 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. And next stitch, 1 single crochet, and then the last stitch, 2 single crochet. Okay, so you're just repeating that pattern of doing 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. You should end on 2 single crochet. That there is what I call the fake stitch. You can see it clearer now. That's not a proper stitch. Just above there is your tiny little chain 1. Next to that is your first single crochet, so you want to slip stitch into there to join the round. Like so, and your stitch count should have gone from 8 up to 12. Now should have gone up to 12, and you can hopefully see it a bit more clearer now. There's the flat bottom, and then because you've done those back post stitches, it creates almost a 90-degree angle for your pot, so a little bit more of a flat bottom. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. First of all, we're just going to do a chain 1. Do a chain 1, again don't count that as a stitch. Go back into the same stitch you just slip stitched into and do a single crochet. And do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 12. Okay, 2, 10, almost back to the beginning. 11, and the last one, 12. Okay, and there's our little fake stitch. You got to the end, that's your last proper stitch there. Fake stitch, skip your chain 1, find that first single crochet that you did and do a slip stitch into there to join the round. So you should still have a stitch count of 12. It should look a little something like that. It's coming together. You can just pop that tail end into the inside of your pot. Use that for stuffing. Okay, so we're going to do one more increase round. So do a little chain 1 to begin again. Again, don't count that as a stitch. And do 1 single crochet in the same stitch you just slip stitched into. So that first single crochet. Do 1 single crochet in there. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. So 1 and another one in the same stitch, 2. So you've got 2 in there. Again, we're going to repeat that pattern around, doing 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Back to the beginning, and you should end up with a stitch count of 16. So 1 single crochet, next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, then 2 single crochet, 1 and another one in the same stitch. Okay, so you've got 2 in there, and then back to 1 single crochet, the next 2, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, then 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and you should end on 2 single crochet in that last stitch. So there's our last stitch, 2 single crochet. And your stitch count should have gone up to 16. And then we just slip stitch, there's our fake stitch, just skip that, skip the tiny chain 1 which disappeared, find that first proper single crochet and slip stitch into there. There we go. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next round and chain 1, and we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch round, starting in the same stitch you just slip stitched into. So So go back into there and do 1 single crochet, and just do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 16. Okay, 2, 3, 15, and almost at the end, last one, 16. So just 1 single crochet, 1 stitch in each, and then we're going to slip stitch in our first single crochet to join the round. So you should still have a stitch count of 16. It should look a little something like that. And all we need to do now is create the little rim around the edge here. And to do that, we're going to do some half double crochet front post stitches, but it's not as scary as it sounds. So what we're going to do first is a little chain 1 for leverage, and then we're going to yarn over to do a half double crochet, or in UK terminology, a half treble. And starting in the same stitch we just slip stitched into, we're going to put our hook into there, like so. Then we're going to come from the back, so it's kind of the reverse of what we did down here. We're starting at the front, then coming from the back. So find the next stitch along, and coming from the back, come back to the front. And you're then hooking that little single crochet post at the front instead of the back, so it's the reverse. And then we're going to bring the yarn underneath that little post. You've got your 3 loops, and just do a half double crochet as normal. Just pull through all 3. I'm going to do that all the way around, but our next one, yarn over, we're going to go in from the front, the stitch we came from the back the last time. So this one here, there's a nice, if you find it difficult to see, find a nice clean stitch and then move over to what looks a little bit complicated. That's going to be the stitch you need to go into from the front. Okay, then next stitch over, come from the back, and then you're popping out that little post. So do that all the way around, keeping a stitch count of 16. That's the beginning. So the next one, there's a nice clean stitch, and move over to one that looks a bit messy and go from the front over to the next stitch, pop out that post. Bring the yarn under, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's our third one. Four. 5. 6. 14, then 15, and the last one, again we go into the last stitch. There's no clean stitch anymore, we've only got our fake stitch, so we go into that last stitch there which we just did came from the front, went into the front from, we're going to from the back. I'm going to go into the front, into that one, and then we're going to come around that very last stitch through the fake stitch to the front. So we actually, the only time we ever work into the fake stitch. Let's do our last one. Just need to make sure your stitch count is 16. Then we're going to find our first half double crochet post and slip stitch into that stitch at the top. A little slip stitch into there to join our little rim on our flower pot. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to cut that. So cut your yarn, finish with that, and then just pull the yarn through, and then all you need to do is just roll it down, and it creates a nice little rim to your flower pot, like so. So that basically your half double crochets go at a 90-degree angle. There we go. So there is our little pot. It should look a little something like that. I'm just going to neaten off the tail end. Thread that onto our tail end. So I'm going to sew that through the same stitch I slip stitched into. So nice and neat. Then I'm just going to sew. It's very fiddly doing small projects with a camera in front. I'm like, yeah, design something small. Do it on camera, it's even more fiddly. So I'll just sew that to the inside, and I can just pop that tail end on the inside of the pot for stuffing, like so. Here we go. So there is our little flower pot, and now we're going to move on to the actual cactus. Okay. Okay, so we're going to take our green yarn now, and with our green yarn, what are we going to do? We're going to do 5 single crochet into a 4 chain loop, or a magic circle if you prefer. So we're going to do a little slip knot to begin. Then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, I apologise for the awful state of my nails. I've been doing too much gardening lately. So chain 4, put your hook into that first chain, bring the yarn through the first chain and straight for the loop on your hook to do a slip stitch, just like before, and again in the middle you've got a little hole. So same thing as last time, we're going to do a little chain 1, and then don't count that as a stitch, and then put your hook into the centre. Be careful, don't put it into that first chain hole, which can look quite big. You need to find the centre. Bring the yarn through the centre and do a single crochet. 1 single crochet. We want 5 of these, so back into the middle, just wrapping it around the chain, do a single crochet, 2, another 1, 3, another 1, 4, another 1, 5. But there's 5, and still a little bit of a gap left, so I'm actually going to do 6. So go back into the centre and do another one, because that would make a better circle. I can't actually remember what I did on this one, so makes no difference. So 6 single crochet, or 5, whatever works best for you, it really doesn't matter. 2, 4, 6, but what you want to then do is find that first single crochet, put your hook into there, bring the yarn through, and then straight for the loop on your hook to do a slip stitch. That creates a nice circle. That's a bit better. So I find 6 single crochet works better than 5. Depends on the yarn you're using. If you're using a slightly thicker yarn, you may find that 5 single crochet is enough, but it really doesn't matter. You could do 7 if you really wanted to. What we're going to do now is we are going to chain 1, don't count that as a stitch, and we're going to yarn over, and we're going to do 2 double crochet into the same stitch we just slip stitched into. This is in US terminology, so in UK terminology that would be a treble. So go back into that same stitch you just slip stitched into, that first single crochet, and do a double crochet. Ooh, go very well. Double crochet, pull through 2, pull through 2. You want 2 of those, so yarn over again, go back into the same stitch, yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So you've got 2 double crochet in there. You want to do 2 double crochet into each stitch around, so we're doubling up our stitch count. So in the next stitch we do 2 double crochet, 1, so another one in the same stitch, 2, then 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 and 2, 2 double crochet in the next stitch. Now this is where you want to check your stitch count, 1 and 2, because it looks like there's one more stitch, but that's what I call the fake stitch. You can see it really clearly here. That is a fake stitch, because just above that's your tiny chain 1, and you want to check your stitch count. If you've worked into the same stitch you slip stitched into at the beginning, I had a stitch count of 6 to begin with, so I should have a stitch count of 12 now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I know I've finished. So what you want to do is skip that fake stitch, skip your tiny chain 1, find that first double crochet stitch, put your hook into there, and do a slip stitch. Bring the yarn through both loops. Okay, so it should just almost slightly pop out a little bit as well, which is fine. What we're going to do now is we're just going to do some double crochet front post stitches to create this cactus rib effect. So To begin with, we're just going to do a little chain one for leverage. We're going to yarn over. We're going to do 1 double crochet front post stitch around each previous double crochet post. So find your first double crochet from your previous round. So there's, you slip stitched into the stitch there, so just below that's the post. And in between the gap of that little chain one from the previous round, in there, little gap down there, put our hook into there, and we're just going to go underneath that post. Okay, bring the yarn underneath that post, do a normal double crochet as normal, and that's a double crochet front post stitch. The next one, yarn over, we go into the gap we came out the last time, just pop it under the next post, bring the yarn underneath and do a double crochet as normal. Pull through 2, pull through 2. So do that all the way around, keeping a stitch count of 12 or however many stitches you've got. Back to the beginning. So then yarn over, under the next post, bring the yarn under, pull through 2, pull through 2, do a double crochet as normal. Okay, so that's 3, next one, 4, next one. Be careful not to go into the stitch at the top. You want to go into the gap underneath the stitch. So there's the stitch as normal. I've gone in underneath the gap, underneath. Just repeat that all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, so back at the beginning, there's my last double crochet post. Go on to this last post. Okay, so that's just my little chains there, so we don't want to work anything around that. Find your first front post stitch and the stitch at the top, and just slip stitch into that stitch at the top to join the round, and check your stitch count is 12, and there you can see the beginning of your cactus come together. And you can make this as tall as you like. You can have a little short dumpy one, or you can have a really, really tall one, or you can make smaller ones and then sew them to the side if you wanted to. But I'm going to repeat that again, so I'm going to chain 1, yarn over, and this time I'm going to go round the double crochet front post stitch instead of the actual double crochet down here. So make sure to do exactly the same, but go in under the double crochet front post stitch that you created just now in the previous row. So if you're struggling to find out where to put your hook, if I can even get mine back in the loop, just look for the stitch at the top as normal, and just below that, just place your hook just below that stitch and pop it under the double crochet post, and that should be fine. That should be fine. Don't know why I'm speaking like this, but I am. And then bring the yarn underneath and do a double crochet again. Double crochet front post stitch. You're just elongating that front post stitch, and repeat that all the way around as well. So again, there's a stitch at the top. I'm just going to move my hook below that and pop it under the double crochet. Bring the yarn underneath and do another double crochet. Okay, and repeat that all the way around. Just make sure to keep your double crochet front post stitches near the top, so just under here, rather than coming back down here, otherwise it won't grow. The cactus won't grow. I'd like to take this opportunity actually to say thank you for all your really lovely comments. I do read every single comment that I get, because they always come through to my inbox. So even if you post it and then quickly delete it, I still get it. But I really appreciate all the lovely comments that I get, really supportive. Sorry I can't reply to all of them. I get absolutely swamped with messages. I'd love to be able to reply to all of you, but just to let you know that I do read them and I do really appreciate them. It touches me every day and keeps me going, keeps me feeling motivated and coming up with ideas. So thanks guys. Okay, let's just repeat that round. Okay, so this is the last one. then when you're back to the beginning, there's our little chain, so it helps to know when you're back at the beginning, having that little gap of chains. Find your first double crochet post and slip stitch into the stitch at the top as normal, like so. So there we go. So it's getting a little bit longer. I'm going to do one more round. I'm just going to pop that tail in on the inside. I'm going to do one more round to make this. I mean, I could stop there if I wanted to and just have a little short dumpy one, but I think I shall do one more round first. So it's the same thing again. You just chain one, yarn over, and again just find that first post, and just below the stitch at the top you just pop your hook underneath and bring the yarn under and do a double crochet. So it's the same thing again. If you're keeping it near the top, just under that top stitch, just underneath, pop it under. You should be working and elongating your cactus. Oops. Perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that for one more round. And then that should be enough for our cactus. Okay, so back at the beginning, find the first post and slip stitch into there. Okay, so I'm happy with the length of my cactus. You may choose to make yours longer if you want to. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to close up the top. You see it all ribbed on the inside. That's quite cool. Little ribs. It's the inside of your front post stitches. Right, yes, what am I doing? Pay attention, Laura. Chain one, and going back into the same stitch you just slip stitched into, put your hook into there. Bring the yarn through, stop there though, because we're going to go into the next stitch. Bring the yarn through, so we've got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and that's single crochets 2 stitches together. We're going to repeat that all the way around, so we're reducing our stitch count in half again. If you've got an odd amount of stitches, this may not work for you. If you did 5 instead of 6, then you will end up with an extra one. So you can just work a normal 1 single crochet to even out your stitch count. It really doesn't matter, but try and keep to something you can divide into 2. So if you did 6, then that would work better. We can divide that down, 12 back down to 6. So into the next stitch, bring the yarn through. Stop into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Okay, just repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to reduce my stitch count from 12 back down to 6. Last 2. So if you've only got 1 stitch left, you can just do 1 single crochet at the end, then slip stitch if you want. But if you've got 2 left, like I have, you can single crochet them together. Really doesn't matter. It's a plant, and plants are not perfect. Then find your first single crochet 2 together and slip stitch into there to join the round. Then we're just going to put up our yarn a little bit. And what we want to do now is to actually stuff our little cactus. Okay, so you've got a little bit of a hole there. I recommend getting some blunt scissors, and then you can just push the stuffing down. So I'm going to get some yarn scraps, I think. Try and get ones that are quite light if you're working with a light coloured yarn, because you don't want black showing through. I'm just going to stuff this. You can use toy stuffing as well, of course. I'm going to stuff this, and I shall come back. Okay, so when you've done that, we're just going to cut our green yarn, but leave it a little bit for sewing. So we're going to sew it onto our pot. A little bit of sewing, then just pull that loop through. Then we're going to turn it upside down, and we're going to create a little flower and put a little flower on the top. So to create your flower, get a nice colour for your flower. So I've chosen a pink. You can choose red or any other cactus flower colour really. I've actually got a real one over there which has got red on, so I'm going to do pink. And these are really, really cute little flowers. All you do is do a little slip knot to begin, and chain 4 to begin. Chain 4. Screen, chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chain 4. Then we're going to slip stitch into our first chain. So put your hook into the first chain, bring the yarn through the first chain and straight through the loop on your hook. And that's our first petal. What we're going to do now is chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So we chain 3. We're going to slip stitch into that first chain again. Do a little slip stitch into there. We're going to repeat that until we've got 5 petals. So 3 more times, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch into that first chain again. Okay. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And slip stitch into that first chain again. It can get quite big after a while, but don't worry. And one more, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. It's really small, hard to show you without my fingers in the way. Slip stitch into that first chain again. The very, very first chain at the very beginning, okay? And there we go, there is our tiny little flower. So we're just going to cut our yarn. Okay, and then I'm going to sew. My yarn needle. Take tail end we just cut. Just thread that through the middle, right down through the middle. There we go. And there is our tiny little flower. So we're going to sew that onto the top of our cactus. So the first thing to do, you can put it right on the top if you want to, right down the middle. And then just come out through the middle of the bottom. Then take that off and then do it for the same, the other one. I even want to go over slightly so it catches. Come out through the bottom. And then take your 2 tail ends and just tie them nice and tight. And that should catch on all the stuffing on the inside. There we go, and he's just held on to the top. Then we're going to shove those tail ends onto the inside. Okay, so there we go. So hidden all the tail on the inside, we've got a little tiny flower on top. All that's left to do is to sew this onto there. So I'm going to take our tail end, long tail end, sew it through these stitches on the inside here. You should have 16. Doesn't really matter how many you've got, just sew it on evenly. So sewing it through there, and then I'm just going to sew up with the cactus. And then sew through here. Stay for a little bit. And up through the cactus. So just repeat that all the way around until you've sewn on your cactus, basically. Add a bit of stuffing to the flower pot as well. Actually, I haven't added any stuffing to that. So I may add a little bit of stuffing to the flower pot as well. So I'm going to add a little bit of stuffing to the flower pot. And then I'm going to carry on sewing it closed. And I'll come back and show you the finished cactus. Okay, so I'm back to the beginning. Finished sewing that on. Then just hide your tail end by sewing over to a stitch somewhere, it doesn't really matter where. Make sure that's secure. And go back in where you came out, come out somewhere else. It should disappear on the inside. Go back in again where you came out, and maybe even come out down the bottom, really doesn't matter. Disappear on the inside. Then all we do is push the project down, just hold that tight, cut as close as you can to the pot, or wherever, then let go, that'll bounce back and disappear on the inside. Hide your tail in. So there we go, there is our finished cactus, the little flower on top. And what I like about this one is actually podgier than the other one, so each one is different. So there we go. Because I think I did that with 5 or 6 single crochet, I can't remember. So you can experiment, you can make them taller, shorter, fatter, you can make them however you want to. I hope you feel inspired. So there we go. And you don't even have to make cactuses if you don't, or cacti. I made a grammatical faux pas there. You don't have to make cacti. Get these to stand up. I'm not going to stand up now, are they, on camera? Stand up. Hang on. If you can, if you want to, you can weight these down so they stand up better. Anyway, what I was trying to say is you don't have to make cacti if you don't want to. You can make little flowers instead. Here I've used the same plant pot and I created some little leaves. There is a tutorial on my channel for this mini leaf. And then these are the same flowers as on the top of the cactus. So you can make a little flower pot instead if you want to. But there we go. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you managed to follow along. It's a little bit fiddly, this one, so I hope you've managed to understand the front and back post stitches. And this one's not going to stand up now either, is it? I think these will work better as little key rings. Actual flowers. There we go. Yeah, I hope you managed to follow along. A little bit fiddly at the beginning with the front and the back post stitches, but I hope it made sense. And I will see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!